Welcome to Modern Wisdom with Dawn Ritchie. I'm Dawn Ritchie, a spiritual mentor, healer, psychic, and medium. My podcast is all about empowering you with spiritual insights on health, wellness, relationships, and careers. Join me and my guests as we navigate life's twists and turns, sharing wisdom and expanding knowledge together. Hit subscribe now to stay updated and never miss an episode. Healing isn't just about medicine, it's about intention, connection, and embracing the full spectrum of our well-being, mind, body, and spirit. And today I have the absolute pleasure of introducing a truly remarkable guest who embodies this philosophy in every aspect of her work. Dr. Sonny Miles is a board-certified integrative medicine physician and the founder of Healing with Intention Integrative Medicine. With a passion for helping individuals create lasting transformation, she seamlessly blends the science of modern medicine with a profound wisdom of holistic healing. Dr. Miles is triple board certified in internal medicine, hospice and palliative medicine, and integrative medicine. A real testament to her dedication in treating not just symptoms, but the whole person. Her extensive experience working with seriously ill patients has shaped her deep understanding of the human experience and leading her to develop Journey Within. It's her 4-step program designed to help individuals reclaim their health and reconnect with their inner wisdom. But what really sets Dr. Miles apart from all others is her unique global approach to healing. From studying with Mayan and shamanic healing traditions to exploring traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurveda and plant-based medicine. She has woven together a rich tapestry of healing modalities to create a truly personalized path for each of her patients. Her belief that healing is not just about overcoming illness, it's about creating a life that aligns with her deepest needs and desires. So whether you're navigating chronic illnesses, seeking a deeper alignment, or simply curious about how integrative medicine can transform your life, today's conversation is one you will not want to miss. So without further ado, let's welcome Dr. Sonny Miles to the podcast. Hey, Dr. Sonny. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I can't wait to talk.
Yay. So where are you from?
I live in northern Colorado, so it's plenty cold at the moment.
I was going to say, did you have snow? Do you have a lot of snow?
We got in the last couple of days a few inches, like two, somewhere between 2 and 3. But it's really cold. We're in
Yeah, I
this
know. Well,
single
this
digit.
February, this February day, we woke up with snow. I mean, I'm looking all good from the waist up here, but I got my snow boots on and my galoshes and yeah. And
Yeah, me
so
too.
it's snowing here today.
Yeah.
Happy February. Um, okay, I am going to dive right in, and you don't mind me calling you Dr. Sunny, right?
No, not at all. You can
Okay,
even just
okay.
call me Sunny if you'd like.
Okay. I like Dr. Sunny. It sounds
Okay,
very
me
official.
too.
Because listen, girl, you're a triple certified
Yes.
doctor of all kinds of medicines and creation. Forget it. Like doctor, you need to say the doctor.
Thank you.
All right, so here we go. You talk about whole health, okay?
Mhm.
I, I love it. Absolutely. I think whole health, explain what that really means to my listeners.
To me, it means your life, right? Your life is the medicine. So it's really body, mind, spirit. It's what we're feeding our body, what we're feeding our mind. It's how we're moving through the world. It's whether we are in healthy relationships or healthy jobs, whether we have meaning and purpose. So it's not only what we're doing to our physical body, but it's the whole container that we're living in and how we're interacting with that container.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything, I think what people really misunderstand is that, whatever we do, whatever we put out into the world, it really affects everybody else. And that sounds so cliche, but we are all connected. We are all energetic beings and we're all connected. And
Yeah.
so when there's sickness and anger and destruction and confusion and all those things are out in the world, of course, it's going to affect our body. And it's going to affect our body close enough to home. If it's happening in our home, if it's
Hmm.
happening in our work, if it's
Hmm.
happening in our world, it's affecting us,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
whole body, whole world. It's just it all means, I feel like it all means the same.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah.
I find that changing things like relationships and jobs and some of those things are hard, right? And so even when our body and our soul is are telling us that we need to change, that these things are not serving us in a way to keep us healthy, because it is so hard sometimes, then we go to the acupuncturist and we go to the prescription medication or all these things to try to put a band-aid on what's happening. And those things work to a certain extent, but unless we really align with what our body and spirit are telling us, we can't get to whole health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we go to the doctor like, fix me, here's a pill. Fix
Mm-hmm.
me, here's a bandage.
Mm-hmm.
It can't work. It has to stop. Like we
Mm-hmm.
have to start understanding there's
Yeah.
way more to healing our body than just like the external stuff.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yes.
I think I told this story. I told this story. I forget where I told this story, but for some reason, when you get in your car and the seat doesn't move back and you constantly hit your knee on the dash. Well, I was doing that, right? So my knee was killing me. I kept hitting my knee. And so when I went to the doctor, I said, yeah, no, my knee hurts. It's no big deal. He's like, what do you mean it's no big deal? Your knee hurts, blah, blah, blah. He goes, oh, you need to go to physical therapy and here's some prescription for a pill. And I looked down, I'm like, no, I hit my knee. It was stupid me who didn't put the seat back, you know? So I'm not going to start taking pills and doing all these things
Yeah.
when I can probably heal it myself and energetically heal it myself and know how to sit in the seat better.
It's amazing how many times we don't put the seat back and we keep injuring ourselves, even though we're like, oh, I should just do that. But it's like, yeah, we don't take the time or we don't prioritize it because we're busy or whatever. Yeah.
It's just so silly. I mean, and every single time I hit my knee, I was like, oh my God, Tweety birds. It's like Tweety birds. So, anyway, I put the seat back now. I actually like did automatic so that, you hit the one and now it goes front and back.
And
Little
sometimes we
things.
need that support, right? Because to do it ourselves over and over, we need to create the structure that allows us to be healthy within it.
I,
Yes.
yes. All right. So let's get nitty gritty with the
Uh-huh.
palliative care and the
Uh-huh.
integrative medicine.
Uh-huh.
It's not always understood. And your journey to this integrative and palliative medicine is really intense. So share with us what led you to it?
Okay, so I'd always loved and been interested in integrative medicine. I sort of grew up in the more holistic health world, and then I went to medical school and I got very disconnected from all of that because I had to sort of hide it.
Hmm.
And I went to work as a hospitalist, so taking as an internist, taking care of people sick enough to be in the hospital. So very little integrative medicine, and it just wasn't it Western medicine is amazing in the acute setting. It saves lives, and
Yeah.
yet the real healing happens outside of the hospital, right? And so people would come in and we would patch them up, and then they go back to their homes and their lives, and they come back in sick again. And so I was like, this is not the way I want to practice medicine. And so I did the integrative medicine training through Andrew Wiles Center at the University of Arizona. The other piece I really saw in the hospital was how often we're not having, because of time or difficulty or skills, honest conversations about outcomes. And like, if we do this intervention on you, are you actually going to get the benefit that you're hoping for? And so that's for me where the palliative care piece started, is I wanted in my mind, it was truth telling. I wanted to be a truth teller and have really honest conversations with people so that they could make choices about their health and their life, not so that I could have the information and guide them somewhere, but really to help them have the power to make the best decision for them. And so that's where I started. I think integrative medicine is really, it's a body, mind, spirit, and it's honoring the relationship between physician and patient, or healer and healee, and that relationship itself has healing power. Like that's sometimes the intervention. And palliative care is similar. So palliative care is for people who have serious or chronic illness, and it's really about focusing on quality of life. So to me, the philosophy of the two fields of medicine are very similar. The toolbox and the patients they're working with are different, but bringing them together for me is really about what matters in your life, right? Death is the greatest teacher. And so getting to work with people who are facing their own mortality has been an incredible way to shape my own life. And so it's really about using any tool that's available to help you live what matters to you.
Oh, and death is the greatest teacher. And I think anybody that has taken care of parents, aging parents, end of life,
Yeah.
can understand that, because there's those days that, those long talks by the bedside, those, I mean, I'm welling up with tears right now, because as you said that, I remembered like my dad, at the end of life, and, he was with me in my house,
Mhm.
and um and he would just share with me about things that had happened in his life, that he was like, you know I wish I didn't do that, or
Yeah.
I'm remembering this beautiful time that, me and your mother, you know shared. And meantime, I'm like, oh my God, they were divorced like forever, and they like hated each other. And so end of life, like,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
I don't want her anywhere near me.
Yeah.
And so really at end of life, all that stuff becomes really small, like doesn't
Yeah.
even matter. And
Yeah.
so I think that's when spirit drops in, and you start healing, and you start transforming, and you start like realizing that this is just a blip in time, and that when it's time for us to leave, we're off into the universe, healed and welled and home.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Your own health journey shaped the way you are, your healer today, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about that. Tell me
Well,
whatever you want to
because
tell me.
um well, I worked in different places. So, like I said, I started as a hospitalist and I got burnt out pretty quickly. And I spent a lot of time trying to change myself to fit in the system and saying, if only I could do things differently, then I would be happier or I would be a better doctor. And then I tried again doing palliative care. And ultimately it wasn't a place I could be really well, like working full time in the healthcare system. And I was working in the cancer center and doing palliative oncology, so talking to cancer patients about pain and symptoms and quality of life and when it might be time to think about hospice. And I was talking to people every day whose time was limited and talking to them about, if time is shorter than hoped, what matters, like what's important to take care of, what's important to do, what conversations are important to have. And I loved the work, but I didn't like the job, let's say it that way, like all of the pieces around the patient interactions. And I left feeling depleted every day, and I just wanted to eat comfort food, and I didn't want to exercise, and it was like come home and just get ready to do it all again the next day. And it really was about being in survival mode, and I didn't want to live my life in survival mode. So back to that, like death is the teacher of like, if I only had a year left, is this how I would want my life to, like how I want to spend the last year of my life? And the answer was no. Like I have more to give, I have more to say, I want to show up for my kids, I want to ride my horses, like I want to, I was reading a book about grief by Francis Weller, and he called it like the full, I think it's full throated or full throttle living. And it was like, that's what I want, right? Like that vibrant, full life where you get to experience the highs and lows, but you also get to rest. And I had been going to the acupuncturist and the chiropractor, and again, those were all band-aids. And until I made changes in my own life, I didn't get to vibrant and truly well.
Until you went on your own.
Yes, until I left
Yeah.
and went on my own. And I still work in the hospital a little bit, but it's at a in a way that I am well resourced and I am well. So when I show up there, I'm well for the people that I see, and I can be well within that environment. And then it's beautiful, but it's about really getting to rethink who I am as a healer with all of my different trainings and with my own life experience and what I've learned from my patients along the way, and who I want to be as a human being, like how I want to show up in my community, in my family, and for myself, right?
Hey, if you haven't already done so, check out my website at dawnritchie.com, where you can book your appointment with me. If you need expert guidance in finding your own spirituality, or maybe thinking about getting back on track with health and well-being, then let's get to it with customized mentoring programs for your personal development. You can find all the information you need at dawnritchie.com. Now let's get back to the show. And as you say that, I'm seeing you, and you are just like glowing right now, because there's so much love.
Yeah.
There's so much love and passion in what you do. Um, Even though you worked in, the box of the
Mhm.
hospital,
Mhm.
because, you had to be
Mhm.
in the box, and there was certain things you could and couldn't do. I feel that, tell me if there was like one or two stories like of certain patients that stuck out in your mind till this day,
Yes.
because you made such an impact on them, giving them the hope and opening the door to feel the feels that they needed to, so they could go on
Yeah. Yeah.
without feeling guilty or grief or
Yeah.
sadness or any of those things. Can you
Yeah.
share a story with me?
I have two that come to mind that a few different things. I took care of a gentleman with lung cancer, and he was young. He was in his early 40s, like me. And when I met him and his wife, it was like all of their plans, right? The plans they had for a whole lifetime. And, they wanted to move to Mexico at some point. They had all of these plans and these hopes, and his cancer didn't go the way that he wanted, and he suffered through so many complications of treatment. And I just was so humbled by how he and his wife showed up for each other and showed up to try to make the best of the time that they had. Like, she was able to leave her job and really be with him, and his happy place was with his animals and his barn. And so, he told me, it's like nobody in their 40s usually wants to die. And yet he said, we've had so much more time together because of this illness, because they knew that time was limited, then they prioritized really showing up for each other. And it's different, it looked different than anything either of them hoped. And yet there was still like so much love and beauty in there. And unfortunately, he died from his cancer, but he was such a beautiful, beautiful soul and beautiful teacher. And I really, these people you don't forget, right? Like
Yes,
these beautiful human beings who face life with so much courage. The
that's
other one
awesome.
that came to mind when you asked was a woman with breast cancer who was very intuitive and spiritual and connected. And, she knew she had the cancer before she got the mammogram, like intuitively. And she just was so connected to herself during treatment, right? And her business was not what she wanted it to be anymore and was depleting her. And so she understood that she had to go through this journey in order to heal and that she would heal on the other side, but it meant sort of reinventing her life and reconnecting sort of to her purpose, right? And to what she wanted to do. And so it was just, I just got to witness a little piece. Like she was very empowered and very connected and really on her own journey. And that's there's so much that we can all connect to when we pause and listen and remember to trust ourselves.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, that's a huge lesson that I've actually learned this
Hmm.
year since,
Hmm.
since January actually. And it was when we're all on the go, our
Yeah.
world, like everybody's running around trying to do bigger, better, faster, quicker things and, get this done in life and, excel at that. And all these things we're all trying to do, showing up for work, getting our family together. Everybody needs a lunch. Everyone has dinner, come home. I mean, I remember those days, like not even taking my coat off and I'm putting the oven on. I'm
Yeah.
already getting things out of the refrigerator. I don't even think I put my purse down. And so that was a big lesson for me this year in January because I found myself falling, like I almost felt like I was falling off the edge.
Yeah.
And I had to stop and start regrouping. And the reason why I'm telling you this is because here's your patient,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Who is now in the end stages of cancer, finally realizing that because she took all that time, right? You took all that time to pause. Now you realize how precious our life is,
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
precious time is here.
Yeah.
And we can't waste it on the small stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, I love that sharing that story. So on that note, I'm going to go right into the family part of it.
Mhm.
So with your you're a healer,
Mhm.
business owner,
Mhm.
you're raising a family, you have a practice, so you have to be
Yeah.
sensitive, but yet you have to be stern because you're running a business. So how do you juggle it? I just shared my thing. How do you juggle it?
That's a good question, and it's constantly in flux, right? And I think that's part of what I've learned is that for a long time I thought you arrived at a place of balance, like you figure it out and you figure out how much I'm going to work and how much I'm going to do family, and that's not true. Like it is constantly an ebb and a flow, and I like thinking about it. I'm not rigid even about my health habits, and because I don't that doesn't work for me, and so for me, it's like I'm going to exercise more days than I don't in a week, right? It's like thinking about it over the longer term, whether the balance is a week or a month, of like, I'm going to do this more than I don't. And I'm going to show up for myself more than I sacrifice myself. And so it's in the ebb and flow, but it's in also scheduling me time. Like I need a lot of me time, and that means yoga, that means walking outside, it means my horses, it means prioritizing sleep. I don't want to show up when I'm grumpy and groggy and my don't feel clear. And so it's really it's saying that those things are important and I'm putting them in my schedule. And then it's having flexibility to adjust when things don't go quite as planned. My husband unexpectedly was traveling this week. And so this week has been a real, my kids are 5 and 7. And so there's a lot of like, and I have 4 horses and the dogs. And so it is really like this week is not a week of where I get as much self-care, but it's like, okay, well, I'm going to go to sleep with my kids at 8:30 because that's one thing I absolutely can do to help me get through this challenging week in the best way I can.
Oh my gosh. Good. Yeah, you definitely and you scheduled time for me. So thank you so
No,
much.
I'm so glad to be here. This is really fun.
Yeah, that's definitely a full calendar. So you talk about a little bit about the self-care. And yes,
Yeah.
everybody really does try. I mean, we human beings are really trying hard to do
Mhm.
something else for
Mhm.
themselves. And I think it's like, the 50 somethings and the 60 somethings, we're not used to doing that. So,
Mhm,
but the younger ones, I think the
mhm.
younger ones, they're really getting way better at it and self-care. So, I love that. Let me talk like about, I want to touch base before we run out of time. I want to touch base about your program. Just tell me a little bit about that and how that's all going to be working with what we're talking about today.
So when I work one-on-one with clients, I call it journey within. I really believe that healing has to happen as much internally as it does sort of externally or in the physical world. And so it's really, I think there's so much power in having a space for people to tell their stories, right? When we show up in a lot of places, medical or otherwise, we're like compressed into these little bits of time. And there's so much healing that can happen just in having your story heard, especially stories with medical trauma and medical struggles. And
Yeah.
so we first spend time with the story, and then we start to unpack all of these pieces of your life and how they're affecting your health and your well-being, sort of physically, emotionally, spiritually. I saw a new client on Monday, and it's like we just started with the spiritual piece, right? It's like she needs to find meaning in what in her life before we can work on the diet and the lifestyle and all of those things. And so we sort of pick where we want to start, like what's most urgent for that particular person. And then we just start making small changes. I really believe that small changes, for me, they're sustainable and they can really change the direction of where you're going and lead you to a really beautiful place. When you do it in a way that your nervous system can can allow and can manage. When we try to like change our whole life, it's so much harder to sustain it, and we sometimes do it at the expense of creating other problems, right? And so really trying to like I really it's like a flow. I really feel like the river and we try this and then we move and then we try this, and just over time really support someone as they walk a different path to a place that they feel better.
Yeah, and I, that is holds so true because even like with my clients,
Yeah,
whether it's the mentoring side or the spiritual development side,
yeah,
you have to get into what the problems that are holding you back.
yeah,
If you can't heal those, then the other stuff isn't going to fall into place for
yeah,
you.
yeah,
I have another person that is I'm mentoring now, and it's this one person who is a complete thorn in her side, like complete thorn.
yeah,
And that is the person that's holding her back, but I have to help her to differentiate, step
yeah,
out of that way of
yeah,
that person so you don't get hit with the thorns. Don't walk through the
yeah,
rose bush,
yeah,
like
yeah.
quit walking through the rose bush, you won't get hit with the thorns.
Right,
And
right,
so yeah, you have to be open to changing. It doesn't mean going a full speed ahead because
right,
that's never works. That's just like a New Year's resolution. I'm going to
right,
lose
right.
20 pounds. The minute you say that, you fail,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And so that's great that you have a program for people
yeah.
to come in like that. I love that. Well,
I
as
really
we wrap up today, I'm so appreciative that you sat with me, and I know we're going to be seeing each other again. I'm going to invite you now, like to do when I do a summit or something. I'll be reaching out. Come
perfect.
on,
I like it. I
Dr.
like
Sunner,
it.
come do with me.
Yeah.
But so before we go, I just want to just give out the listeners some how they can contact you. It'll all be in the show notes, but just
Yeah.
verbally, just give them how they can contact you.
So my medical practice in Colorado is called Healing with Intention Integrative Medicine. So that website is healingwithintentionim.com. And I have a new coaching website space opening called Honoring the Wisdom Within. And that website is honoringthewisdomwithin.com. And I have a free whole health guide on my website if you go to the pop-up that you
Oh,
can.
awesome. And I think we'll put a link in the show
Yes,
notes too. We'll
perfect.
put everything in there. Thank you so much, Dr. Sunny, for joining me today. And thank you everybody for listening. See you soon.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Hey there, so before we head over to the next episode, I wanted to let you know about my show named Beach Bench Medium, and it's on my YouTube channel. As I passed by beach benches that lined the boardwalk, I felt the nudge from Spirit to bring family members to their bench and give them a reading. If you have a bench dedicated to someone you lost, then get in touch with me at hello@dawnritchie.com. I would love for you to be on the show. Thanks for listening.